All right, so recently I was meditating and this thought came up and I want to share it. And it's for people that are going through a certain, and everybody does this. It's not that it's just some people that go through this. Every single person at whatever level you are, all right, there are cycles here. In other words, the seasons will keep coming. Whether you are a child, whether you are an adult, you go through the seasons periodically. So these seasons happen at every single level. And sometimes we might even feel that we are too big to go through the seasons. And this is how God keeps us humble, keeps us in touch with our humanity. And when we say with our humanity, keeps us in touch with our weaknesses, such that you have to, the very same things you did from phase 1 to get into phase 2, when you want to move up to phase 2, the next phase within your life, you practice the fundamentals again. Okay, now you should be more skillful, having acquired experiential knowledge and practicing it. So you should be able to navigate yourself, all right, to harness more from the same situations that come your way in those seasons and cycles, and to have, all right, to increase the speed at which you are able to produce results because of your accuracy there. Now, the sons of Issachar, the Bible says, led because they understood the times and they understood the seasons. Now, what happens, and there's a lot of pressure, and I want to say this particularly from social media now, to have what we call external trappings of success. And because of this, it increases the level of anxiety in a person who feels that they're experiencing stagnancy at some point within their lives, or they are not actively growing on the outside. And they look at other people and they are under pressure and they start creating things to give the impression, oh, that's fine, you can creating things to give the impression while they remain confused on the inside. Now, you can create things to give an impression, that's fine. But when I say that's fine, that doesn't change anything. But the real issue is spiritual, which means that there's the confusion, there's the anxiety, that's what I'm saying here. And therefore, there's the temptation to look for shortcuts in desperation, all right, to do certain things. You can slip into competition and all of this. And that's where people start veering off. Now, we have to understand this clearly and go back to the basic and the fundamentals of our Christian faith, where the most important thing is the character development. In other words, the formation of the nature of God within the believer. When God will judge at the end of the day, he will judge predominantly on how we treated other people within our network and the world at large, the body of Christ. Okay? That's where the judgment will basically be about the bond of perfection that gives you confidence to stand before God, is that as you are in heaven, so have I been in the world. And that character trait he's talking about is love and mercy. Be merciful as your Father who also in heaven is merciful. That I'm able to stand boldly and confidently before him. Now, because of the pressure that comes, that is heightened particularly through social media, there's a tendency to deviate and for people to be caught up in, just looking for some silver bullet, that's something I can practice, that would just give me a breakthrough, that would just externalize things. A great English evangelical by the name of A.H. Strong said something. And it's in the teachings that you find on the element of time in the things of God. No matter what it is, there is the element of time in the things of God. And he speaks about spiritual growth. And he noted this, that growth is not a uniform thing in a tree or in a Christian. In some single months, there is more growth than all the year besides. In other words, when he speaks about growth here, he's talking about external, which means on the outside there seems to be a lot that is going on. But then there are months of silence. There are months where there's no externalization. And what begins to happen to people many times, they feel something is wrong. They become anxious. The anxiety gets in. They become preys to people who are spiritual predators and who want to exploit the vulnerability of the people and to lure them into saying that, look, something can be done to make up with, and there's a process here that is going on. And he goes on and says, besides all the year behind, during the rest of the year, however, there is solidification, without which the timber will be useless. The period of rapid growth, when the woody fiber is actually deposited between the bark, all right, and the trunk, occupies about 4 to 6 weeks. That's in May, June, and in July. And then there's the solidification of it. Now, when you get into these spaces, because many times the external, and I want to say something here, accelerated growth didn't come as a result of your wisdom or strategic insight per se, if you are going to be truthful. What happened was almost time and chance. It's almost like you stumbled on something that brought that acceleration. Now, but if we go back with hindsight, it means that an opportunity was presented to a person, which the person may not even have known it was an opportunity of that magnitude, entered into it, and everything just blew up here. All right? And it's almost like you just stumbled into something. But what really happened was an opportunity was created in the spirit, and then you entered into it. Or what Jesus referred to as a time of visitation, when he said the things are now hid from your eyes because you've missed your time of, so that's what you call a time of visitation. Now, those things happen periodically and they happen in cycles there. Now, but when that externalization and that rapid growth is not occurring at that particular point, people get anxious and miss out on what God wants to do. You see, it is with all certainty that you will be granted opportunities for explosive growth in your life. Understand this. The seasons will come back. It's in cycles. And you will, in whatever you're doing, be granted the opportunity in the process of time to experience massive quantum leaps. You will be. So settle that inside your heart. Now, you recognize the opportunities and you enter into those opportunities. However, between that time, God settles you down, sets you aside to build into you the substance and the character to be able to enter into the next phase when it comes. So you have the capacity to handle what is coming. Now, somebody on your right may be experiencing that accelerated growth, which is that's their own phase within their own life. It is not yours. You are in the phase of solidification. If you compare yourself to them, then you step out of your phase in anxiety, and that's what really is causing. That's what really is causing the problem, because people compare themselves one with another. That's what's causing the problem. Your time will always come. God will grant unto you, and it's periodical. In other words, He will give you opportunities for that supernatural, all right, growth and accelerated thing. It will come to you. Okay? Just set it up. Don't be anxious about it. To come to you. Now, but during that period, quickly, there's something He wants you to practice in a time of solidification, anticipation for that. And we will find this in Romans chapter 12. And there are a few things he says concerning this. Let's just start reading from verse 9. He says, look, or from verse 7, he talks about our ministry. Let us wait upon our ministry. He that teacheth on his teaching. So if you are called to teach, he says, wait upon your teaching. Deepen it. He says, exhortation, let him wait on his own exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence. He that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation, which is hypocrisy. Now, this is what he wants to start developing and cultivating on the inside. Abhor that which is evil and hold fast to that which is good. Don't let yourself be pushed out of pressure into that which your conscience doesn't want you to be involved with. Be kindly affectioned one to another. That's developed, all right, within yourself. This is what you should focus on. Not the externalization there of stuff. It will come. What he wants you to focus on is within. Now, this is season, all right, where he wants you to focus within. He says, because we don't do this, we start seeking things on the outside. He says, be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another, learning to prefer other people, developing that culture there. That, if people suggest you who they know, let this other person do it. Give that person the opportunity to do it. In honor, preferring, learning, and not scrambling, not, I'm hustle, I must shoot my shot, I must project myself. No. It says in honor, preferring one another. Don't let's bring in worldly tactics into the things of the Spirit. Then he goes and he says this, not slothful in business, which means, look, yes, things are not moving the way you think they should move, but don't be slothful in what you're doing. Be diligent in it. If you are there and things are not moving, there seems to be stagnancy, and this is the job that you're doing in a certain place, he says, don't be slothful. Don't let that get into. He says the test is character development. Be stable, be reliable, be a dependable person. He says, don't be slothful in business, but fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. In that same way also, don't start saying things like, look, I just decided to pull out because things are not working for me in my life. I was doing all this. I just needed to shut, He says, listen, this is where we miss it. He says, look, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope. This is a link to everything. The word rejoicing there means a confident expectation of good. Rejoice in the confident expectation that good is coming into your life. Let me repeat. Rejoice. Enjoy the feeling inside you as you sing of that confident because it is going to come. The good is going to come. People miss it because of the fact that they miss out on the lessons they're supposed to learn, the training God is giving to them for the solidification of their character. He says rejoice. You see, prayer will not work without rejoicing. Let me repeat. Prayer will not work without rejoicing. If there's not a confident expectation of good, then don't enter into the place of prayer. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation means stay under. Don't try to remove yourself from the situation prematurely. Stay under, remain under, all right, undergo it. It has patient. I don't say I'm getting out. No, hold it. The door will be opened up unto you. And after you have suffered a little while, the Lord will show up and perfect it. Okay, so don't move because you feel the condition. You move because God speaks to you, not condition. So he says, patience there in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. Now, I must get the translation of that word continuing instant. It's to persevere in prayer. It is to attend assiduously to all the exercises of prayer. You know how somebody is training and going and says, and they're attending assiduously to the exercise, it says, stay in the place of prayer. Rejoice, all right, with this in confident expectation of good, that something is coming, and every day acknowledge it before God and rejoice in the fact that a visitation is coming your way. Now, the door is going to be open in a way where and a place you may not know at that particular point in time, but when it shows up, you recognize it. But it says, be kindly affectioned one to another. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave unto that which is good. Then the next one, he says, distributing to the necessity of the saints. Develop and cultivate generosity during that time. It's a time where people want, I'm saying, look, we don't obey this instruction. So we start chasing miracles, start chasing someone to do this and just say, we don't obey the instructions that God has given in the manual he has for life here. He says, distribute to the necessity of the saints there. Given to hospitality. Well, that's a time you want to say, well, I'm under pressure. It says, be given to hospitality. Not just be hospitable to a few people. Be given. Practice hospitality. Then he goes on and says, bless them that persecute you, and curse not. It's not emotional, reactionary. I'm going to curse this, I'm going to speak back. No. Bless them that do that. Rejoice with them that do rejoice. In other words, other people are rejoicing about their advancement things. It says rejoice with them. He says weep with them that weep. What he's trying to get into you is that character care, empathy here. You rejoice with those that rejoice, identify with them. You're also able to, it's building character. You see, I repeat, with all certainty, the seasons will come up. They're in cycles. A bigger opportunity is coming into your life, but he needs you to develop your character, because you have to have empathy at that place, because you have to be a hospitable person. There are things he wants to develop in you before he comes. It says, without, we said this here, the timber, that thing being deposited, it's useless. If you take it to the next level, it's useless in that place. Not useful to God at that particular place. And we end up in regret. So he says this, all right? Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. These are the instructions he's giving. Now, don't start thinking, oh, let me be greeting people that have money and no. He says condescend to men of low estate. You know, I was sharing recently, and it says that who was it in the book of Ezra, and he said, look, he called a fast for God to show them the way to do something. I'm going to speak about this tomorrow morning. And he said, we could not approach the king, for we had boasted to the king of the hand of the Lord upon us to seek help from him. In other words, he says, now he had access to the king, but he said, listen, I'm not going to go and meet the king. I have access. He said, I can ask him. He will give us a band to it. He says, but we have spoken about the hand of God and how it's able to secure a person. He said, he called a fast, and they secured and inquired of the Lord and God. Which means that, look, as God raises you up, you begin to meet people. If you can make phone calls, but you have to have developed the character to say that, listen, it's God I talk to, not to men. I may know kings, I may know princes, but I talk to God about my issues. I don't talk to men about my issues. If character has not been developed, you will sell your soul before God allows you to meet one or two people. You drop all your prayer life, you are chasing people. That you understand that, look, even people come to meet you and I want to ask you, can you help us? You understand, look, even I myself, you tell them, I do it by prayer. I don't do it by connection, even though I have the network to be able to do it, but I call God to do it. Now, it goes on here. It says, condescend to men of low estate, which means you are found in the circle of people who are less privileged. You're not into all these social class kind of things. This is what he's saying that we're not doing here. He says, be of the same mind. Recompense no man evil for evil during that time. Provide things honest in the sight of men, as if it be possible, as much as it lieth in you, because some people are just troublemakers. There's nothing you can do about it. He says, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For he says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. He says, therefore, during that time, if your enemy be hungry, feed him. This is the test. This is all to form character within you, so that when that opportunity comes and you will enter into it, you will have the character to handle the things that is going through. So please, what I'm saying here is this. Pay attention to these instructions. And if you pay attention to these instructions, as it says in 1 Peter, it says, so shall an entrance be ministered abundantly unto you, all right, concerning the kingdom of God. I mean, it puts it here, besides giving all diligence, add to your faith, virtue, knowledge, loyalty, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that you shall neither be barren or unfruitful in the knowledge of Lord, but he that lacketh these things, all right, does not see afar off. Somebody says, an entrance will minister to you. The door will be opened up to you. So this is what I want to share. Okay, it's not popular, but this is what it should be done here. Instead of chasing things around, develop yourself. Make sure you cultivate these things. hospitality to other people here, distributing to the next of things. You are conscious about it. You interact with people of lower state. It's not like, well, I've moved up the ladder now. I don't say, well, but if I go and meet people of lower state, all they do is that they ask me for things and put pressure on me. Then you develop wisdom on how to handle. That's what he wants you to do. You develop wisdom on how to handle things. You develop all of that. You know, a man once said this, and I close with this. It was king, and he says, I want to prove to all of I want to choose which of my sons of the princes is going to be the next king. He said, what you guys have got to do is that all of you break down your fences, because you've been living in palaces and castles. Break down all your fences and have no fence into your house. Let anybody have access to your house. Whoever can survive that will be the next king. In other words, learn the wisdom of relating, having a lot, being a privileged person, but you still can relate with every single person and keep that common touch. And the security that you have is not the walls that you have built, but the security that you have is the wisdom that you have used in interacting with people, that the people themselves are your security. That if anybody wants to harm you, somebody inside that system comes and leaks it to you and tells you, look, this thing wants to happen here because of your character, because of the way and manner in which